of what the president and his family bring into the White House and collect there while they make it their home leaves the White House with the passing of power. While it is true that many personal belongings of the presidents are enshrined in their former homes, beautiful houses such as Mount Vernon, Monticello, and Ashlawn, for many years there was no one place where people could go to see all the things representative of a particular president and his administration. Not only personal objects, but important papers of state, treaties, and speeches. The year 1939 marked a change in this pattern. A joint resolution of Congress established the Franklin D. Roosevelt Library, located on the 33-acre site in Hyde Park, New York, near the final resting place of the President and Mrs. Roosevelt, and not far from the Roosevelt ancestral home. On the second floor, in the President's bedroom, is his wheelchair, rarely photographed, looking somehow unaccustomed to disuse. At this desk, the President wrote many of his famous speeches, such as the one he addressed to the University of Virginia.
On this 10th day of June, 1940, the hand that held the dagger has struck it into the back of its neighbor.
From earliest childhood, Franklin Roosevelt was an avid collector of everything: ship models, marine paintings, books, manuscripts, and stamps. His room recalls a vivid picture of the man we remember. It has been kept exactly as it was on the occasion of his last visit. Like every world leader, FDR was the subject of both serious study and caricature. This, one of his favorites, was unveiled at the 1940 Gridiron Dinner in Washington. Within the complex of home and museum are all the elements required to keep alive the image of a great man.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
The full text of this film speech, as well as many others of each administration, has been made available through the resources of the National Archives. In 1955, the Congress took a second and most important step, known as the Presidential Libraries Act. And under it was established the Harry S. Truman Library at Independence, Missouri. A mural painted by Thomas Hart Benton dominates the lobby. In this book, near the entrance, are listed the many generous citizens who financed the library and then donated it to the federal government in 1957. The hallway leading from the office to the exhibit room is lined with gifts received by the former president. Gem-encrusted swords were favorite gifts of foreign heads of state. This is what the president's oval-shaped White House office looked like during his administration. On the wall hangs a certificate of election in 1922 to his first public office, a county judgeship. On the other side of this sign is a legend for visitors with dubious propositions. It says, "I'm from Missouri." Harry Truman's presidential years include the era of the atomic bomb, the beginning of the Cold War, and the establishment of the United Nations.
The United Nations has been launched on its career. It must succeed. I know it will succeed. Before us now lies an era in which the power of atomic energy has been released. That age will either be one of complete devastation or one in which new sources of power will lighten the labors of mankind and increase the standard of living all over the world.
The archives at Independence lure historians, biographers, and scholars from many nations. A scant 150 miles separates Independence, Missouri from Abilene, Kansas, site of the Eisenhower Center. Turned over to the federal government in May of 1962, it includes the museum, the Eisenhower family home, and the Dwight D. Eisenhower Library. The Eisenhower Library is a working headquarters for President Eisenhower on his frequent visits to Abilene. Directly across the courtyard is the Eisenhower Museum. In both the museum and library exhibit areas are displayed mementos and gifts acquired during a memorable career. This conference table from England was used by General Eisenhower and his staff while planning details of the Normandy invasion. The sweeping mural on the lobby walls depicts a career that led from soldier to educator to statesman.
Never before in history has so much hope for so many people been gathered together in a single organization. Your deliberations and decisions during these somber years have already realized part of those hopes.
Only 3 months after dedication of the Eisenhower Library, the Herbert Hoover Library came into being on the outskirts of the village of West Branch, Iowa. Museum, collection, and research facility are combined here, along with the faithful reproduction of his White House office. The Hoover Inaugural Medal, cast for the 31st President, hangs near the many honors bestowed upon the man who dedicated his life to public service and education. His keen interest in children led to the establishment of many boys' clubs across the nation. This concern for youth also prompted the Hoover missions to Russia and so many other countries in the grip of famine brought on by the destruction of war.
All Europe is cold. Their food supply, of course, is below normal, and the suffering is intense. We must try to prevent starvation in other nations. We cannot escape the obligation to use our every resource to prevent starvation.
Here are a few of the tokens of thanks from the children of Belgium, from the people of Russia, and the people of Germany. His many foreign missions led to the establishment of the Hoover Institution of War, Revolution, and Peace at Stanford University. In Herbert Hoover's words, the institution is not merely a library. Through its staff for research and publication, it adds to the knowledge of history. It illuminates the dangers that surround us. It points out paths to freedom and peace, and to the safe growth of the American way of life. Statesman, educator, humanitarian, the many faces of a great American will live on in his presidential library.